CBS News transportation correspondent Kris Van Cleave is with me now. Kris, you've obviously been following the story since it began. You know, when I think of airline safety, I think better to be safe than sorry. So why is the FAA hesitating on grounding this plane?
I think the FAA would say it's not hesitating. What it's doing is waiting for evidence to justify an action. The FAA has only ever made 3 orders that have grounded airliners, and there were exceptional reasons for that. The most recent was 2013 in the Boeing 787 after there were those battery fires, if you may remember, that were burning through the containment case, and they grounded the plane until they could find a solution. It is certainly possible that the FAA takes that action, but we've gotten no information whatsoever yet that we know of from the black boxes in the Ethiopian plane crash. So we don't know if there are real concrete similarities between that crash and the Lion Air crash in October,
right,
or if they just happen to be 2 of the same type of airplanes that happened to crash.
But wouldn't some, such as Senator Romney, say, look, until we know the answer to that question, better to just ground them until we figure it out?
Well, I think the other side of that is the pilots at American, Southwest, and United, all 3 airlines fly a version of the MAX. Their pilots are still showing up to work and flying those planes.
Right.
The airlines get an awful lot of data out of those airplanes, and they're convinced they're safe.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're the FAA, it is a bit of a balancing effort. The FAA also has a dual role of regulating the industry, but they also certified this airplane.
Right.
So there is that factor to play in here, too. But at a fundamental level, the agency says they don't have the information that it would need to justify an order to say stop flying the planes.
Now, of course, as we heard Senator Romney say there, the Senate ultimately has the responsibility of overseeing the airline industry. Are there actions that lawmakers could take to put pressure on the FAA?
I suppose the lawmakers could consider legislation, but most likely we are in the next couple of days going to have some answers from the Ethiopia Air black boxes, and at which point you may see an order from the FAA, or we may have clear and compelling evidence that these are 2 unrelated things.
Right. Now, in a statement, Boeing has said it has full confidence in the safety of the MAX jets, while also noting the position of the FAA, saying that the FAA has not mandated any further action at this time. What are Boeing's next moves, especially as their stock continues to sag?
Well, I think above and beyond stock price, Boeing is going to have to show that the airplane is in fact safe. Some of that requires us to know some things we don't know right now. We don't know what happened in this Ethiopia air crash. If it is similar to the Lion Air crash, if it was the same system that factored in, they're going to have to look at the design of that system, look at the pilot training. Every expert I have talked to and every pilot I have talked to in the U.S. feels pretty confident that U.S. pilots know how to handle this aircraft. Right. The question is, has that information gotten to everywhere that it should have, or were there extenuating circumstances? Certainly in Lion Air, there were other factors in this crash beyond that system.
Right. We just have to wait and see when all the facts come out. Kris Van Cleave, thank you so much.
Sure thing.